People are not just lazy, they are addicted to what we know as interruption. In today's live session, we are going to talk about something unique, something that literally steals everything you focused your mind on. We are going to discover one change and one deeply intentional change that can transform your life if you master the act of focus. And that is what we are going to talk about today.
Yeah, I mean, like she rightly said, the crazy part is that this particular change we're even going to be talking about today, it doesn't require money. It's not a change that will cost you an arm and a leg, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't even require talent or skill. It's just it just simply requires you learning how to control your attention. Attention is the biggest currency right now, you
Ex-
know.
Yeah. And what are we talking about today? We are talking about distraction. What are the things that makes us not to achieve what we set our head to? And like he rightly said, attention is one of the superpowers of humans. There are four basic superpowers. One is time, money, attention is one of it. How do you maximize staying focused in achieving something? And most especially, ignoring what we know as distraction. People are too distracted in our age and time, and today is everywhere. It's right there in your phone. It's right there in your notifications, social media, short videos, entertainment. Are these things good in itself? Yes. But how do you ensure that these things do not distract you from what you are called to do?
Yeah, we're going to be discussing basically how to manage distractions. Many people feel like they want to just avoid distractions. I don't think avoiding distraction should be the conversation. It's actually managing it. Because, Alex Hamosi said that he said in one of his videos, he says something like, focus is not the absence of distraction. It's actually focus is like reducing distraction. So your focus to the degree of distractions you can reduce. For instance, if your attention to distraction is like 8/2, so 2 is attention to what you want to achieve. So reducing that 8, and increasing the 2 is actually, what focus literally is. So because we think that distractions is just on your phone, like you're handling your phone too much. No, distractions is just simply anything that pulls you away from the things that truly matter. you know it's like it's like majoring on the minors and minoring on the majors. So what are the things in your life that truly matter, that truly move the needle, right? And anything at all, anything, anything that pulls your attention away from the things that matter is distraction, literally.
So, some people also stays years consuming content and they never ever take action. They plan on saving, but eventually they do not save. Also, they plan on investing. In this case, because maybe sell real estate, they set out goals to achieve, but they eventually do not achieve them. That is also one of the things distraction causes for you as a person and as an individual. So, how do you, as a person, also navigate through it? Like he rightly said, the purpose is not for you to avoid it. The purpose is, even in the midst of this distraction, you manage it solely that you achieve the majors and neglect the minors. And in today's live session, like I said, that is what we are going to be delving in, because I personally think that a lot of people, both the young and the old, passes through this challenge. And the earlier we start figuring it out, figuring it how to navigate through this distraction, the better for us.
You know, let me even tell you something very interesting about distraction. Do you know that your brain actually likes to be distracted?
Likes comfort.
Like our brain loves distraction. So the brain is naturally wired to chase things that feel pleasurable, exciting, easy, and emotionally rewarding. That's what the brain is wired to do, and that's why our brain quickly responds to things like gossip, how even online, if you post a serious stuff, you're posting your business thing, you would see that the engagement on those things will be less than when you're posting a gossip, like something,
It's true.
something that is just
True.
looking like a gossip, like a BTS, like a behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're just addicted to the endless scrolling and notification. And that's really because of the way the brain is wired. The brain is not wired per se for success, it's basically just wired to protect us. And one of the things the brain sees as protecting us is pleasure.
Mm. Okay, so one of the things I'll talk about now is planning your activities, or what I call planning your days. For example, before you sleep, what's your plan for the next day? Because we are trying on how to manage, we are figuring out how to manage this distraction. Before you sleep for the day, find out what is your plan for the next day. And when you wake up, insist that you don't go on things that distracts you. So first of all, distraction can be for one person, um, Facebook. Another person could be movies. So you notice that people have different forms of distraction. So when you wake up in the morning, insist that you don't go on things that distract you. First, find out what always distracts you from achieving something. Then, secondly, find ways on how to manage it. If you constantly go on things that distract you, you will eventually not win it. But if you tilt towards the strength or something that you know will help you avoid the distraction, you will start. It's like feeding something constantly. So you're trying to avoid distraction, but you're constantly doing things that makes you distracted.
Yeah.
So find things that will get you engaged. For example, you can tell yourself, I'll have to pick up a book and read rather than go on things that distract me.
Okay.
These are ways you constantly navigate yourself, not being distracted. And I believe strongly that this thing does not happen over time. Like it doesn't happen immediately, I mean, it happens over time. But when you consciously start working on it, eventually you realize that, oh, what used to take my time, zap my time, has constantly been reduced.
Yeah, I mean that really works because one of the reasons, like I said earlier, that people, engage in these things is that we just avoid, it's avoidance. Like I said, things that move the needle are things that are, the brain feels, sees it like work, right? Sees it like work, sees it like something that is stressful. And then our natural inclination is to avoid it, or postpone, or what we call procrastinate, right? And then, avoidance actually feels good temporarily. It feels good at the moment. It does not necessarily mean that it will serve you, it will pay you. It just creates regret later.
Later.
That's just what it is, because the work you avoid today will definitely cause you issues tomorrow,
Tomorrow.
because you have to do it. There's this book, one of my favorite books in the world is a book by Brian Tracy. It's called Eat That Frog. That's the name of the book. Literally, like the name, of course, the name is catchy, is attractive. How are you going to eat the frog, right? But the whole essence and goal of that book generally is to let you understand that doing the hard things first matter, or it pays you in the long run. And the more we learn to do the hard things, or the more we program our minds to do the hard things, the better we get at it. And the scariest part of all of this is that many people, are slowly losing their ability to focus deeply. That is it. We're slowly losing it. Just like you said rightly, feeding something. So the more we feed it, the less our ability. In fact, statistics say that studies have shown that an average human, especially the young generation, their attention span is less than a goldfish these days. And goldfish is 8 seconds.
Seconds.
Just imagine that, right? And we're loosely, we cannot sit quietly. Think about it. When was the last time you sat quietly for 15 minutes without necessarily doing anything and without drifting either? Like you sat still quietly and focused on one thing for 15 minutes, right? So we're slowly losing that. We cannot think deeply any longer, right? You cannot even stay consistent at anything, and everything now is now fast. You want to log in fast, you just open your eyes and you've logged in. Everything is now like fast, everything is now emotion, everything is now entertaining, everything now stimulating.
It's quite sad, but there's always hope for someone who seeks for knowledge. And that's why we are bringing this video to you. What we can do, or what you can do today, especially wherever you are, whatever you are doing, is to strive to protect your attention. You said something about stimulation. A lot of our minds, we can say that our minds are stimulated consciously, constantly. So we are always busy with things we've watched, things we've seen, movies from the past, from the present, from the future, constantly making us to not to focus. Remember that the power of focus has the ability for you to achieve whatever you set your head or your mind to achieve. But here is this, what we call distraction, always stealing that from you. So if you want to achieve something as a business person, as a young person, as an entrepreneur, you have to strive to focus on your attention and protect it with everything you have. Because where your attention goes, that is where your future follows. So the essence of this video is to constantly be in charge of your attention, be in charge of your focus, be in charge of things that will move the needle in the right direction for you. Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about 4 different ways that we can, maximize focus and reduce distractions as much as possible. The first way to reduce unnecessary noise, is to, like we have just said now, is to constantly feed your mind, feed your brain. Like, I mean, you cannot stay constantly. I mean, knowledge is the first, like Shirley said. So understanding that distraction is a thing, right? Even if you don't do anything about it, but just understanding that it is there, and then catching yourself from time to time whilst your attention is stolen. Just understanding that first is one of the first ways to start this. Second is to train your brain to stay with difficult things. There are things you ought to do, but because it's difficult, right, we do not, focus on them. So just learn to stay there. Like, even if you feel like you're not achieving any result, but you're there. So you're training your brain in that, process. The third is to stop waiting for motivation. You know how we used to feel like we wake up in the morning and we don't feel motivated. And yes, I get it. But if we structure our activity, for instance, you ought to come on a live show by 9:30 and you show up even when you do not feel like it, right? You're not waiting for any motivation or any gang feeling. You just show up. So when you stop waiting for motivation, you actually help yourself. And lastly, when we learn to be comfortable with boredom, the word boredom has become, we make it feel like a negative thing these days. I'm bored. And then the next thing you're looking for is stimulation. You're looking for something insightful, relaxing or exciting, stimulating. I'm bored. Like, can't you just sit down there? Like, can't you just sit still and do something, like focus on something, right? And we just keep saying we're bored. And we now make it sound like, see, the truth is, success is boring. Doing the successful things or doing the things that move the needle are boring. Reading a book is boring. Staying on something is boring. Learning a skill until perfection or until you get used to it is boring. All right. So let's learn to be comfortable with boredom, because mastery often grows in quiet and repetitive moments.
Wow. So I was watching Alex Amosi, you mentioned him. He said that for him to achieve something, the kind of strategy he set up to achieve it was mind-blowing. For example, he stays in a blocked up room. He
No
closes
windows.
no windows. He locks up his ears with his headset, a cup of coffee, no light. And this is what someone does to achieve so much. Personally, I see it as like a fight. You know that this thing is existing, so you
Yeah.
don't want it to get hold of you. So you literally have to fight back
Yes.
so that it gets
Absolutely.
what you want. So that's
Absolutely.
how much of fight you have to constantly fight
Absolutely.
to achieve anything. If not, like I said, over the years, you realize that you've not achieved anything tangible. Like it feels like you are just at a point, you are not achieving, you're not moving forward. But this video is going to bring clarity your way. You have to sit down and have a conversation with yourself because you know yourself better than anyone else. Find out your distraction, if possible, write it down. Then eventually find out things to do to constantly help you. For example, what he mentioned, do the difficult things. You know that, for example, you're a business person. What are the things that will get your business in front of thousands of people?
Yes.
Those are the difficult things. You normally not want to do them. You're a young person. What are the things that will make you grow in your skill or in your talent? What is it? Find it. They are not always easy to do.
Yeah.
So when you've listed them out, you can intentionally follow it up daily. Like I said, it's a work in progress.
Yes.
Over time, you realize that you are way better than you were a few years ago.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this conversation today, again, distractions are not necessarily just the things you think they are, like maybe your phone, social media. Distractions are anything that moves you away from the things that matter. That's what it is. So it could even be your spouse. Yes, it could even be your siblings, right? It could even be a friend. You know how you just decide that, okay, for the next 4 hours, I'm going to work, I'm going to do this, and then somebody just comes
Shows
out of
up.
the blue, boom, and
Are
just
you
say,
around?
"Yeah, yeah, around," and boom, before you know,
1 hour
4 hours
has
has
passed.
gone, right? That is a distraction. And even if the person is your best friend, even if the person is your ally, even if the person is your spouse, you know, that exactly there is distractions. And like I said, the goal today is not for us to just wake up overnight and eliminate it. The goal is to reduce it, is to manage it as much as possible. So I would leave you with these few words. First, protect your focus. Protect it. It is your most valuable asset, right? Because anybody that steals your focus is stealing your time. And guess what? Your life is calibrated in time, right? My favorite movie is that one of my favorite movies is that In Time. The name of the movie is In Time. Like you literally buy things with time, right? Like literally, right? That's a very great movie there. So let's protect your focus, protect your future, because again, your focus is your life, your focus is your time, and anybody stealing your time and your focus is also stealing your future. I hope you found this conversation helpful. I hope you I mean, if you have any contribution, addition, subtraction, if you feel like we said something that doesn't make sense, please leave us a comment. We'd like to see that. And if you found this valuable, kindly share, with your friends, like, comment, subscribe to this channel so you can see more conversations like this as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. In the meantime and in between time, have a fantastic day.
And bye.